The most painful mistake an emotionally caring person can make is not loving too deeply. It is believing that complete emotional exposure will always create a deeper connection. That idea sounds beautiful. It feels honest. It even feels like the foundation of real love. Yet in many relationships, especially when one person naturally craves closeness and the other struggles with emotional intimacy, that approach can produce the exact opposite result. The more one person explains, reassures, gives, and sacrifices, the more the other begins to pull away. This confusing pattern has left countless people asking the same question. Why does endless patience sometimes create greater distance instead of greater closeness? The answer is more complex than most people realize, and it begins with understanding the difference between kindness and emotional overexposure. Some people care so deeply that they believe every fear, every wound, every hope, and every vulnerable thought should be placed on the table immediately because they think complete honesty proves complete love. While openness is an important part of healthy relationships, timing, trust, and emotional safety matter just as much. Sharing every part of yourself before trust has had time to grow can sometimes leave you feeling emotionally exhausted instead of emotionally connected. That is why this conversation is so important. It is not about becoming cold. It is not about pretending to be someone else. It is not about manipulating another person into chasing you. It is about learning how to protect your own emotional well-being while building healthier relationships. Many people use the term super empath to describe someone who naturally feels the emotions of others very deeply. These are the people who notice changes in someone's voice before anyone else does. They recognize hidden sadness behind a smile. They forgive mistakes that most people would never forgive. They keep giving chances because they believe everyone deserves understanding. They often become the safe place where others unload their fears, frustrations, and emotional pain. They listen without judging. They stay when others leave. They hope when others give up. Their greatest strength is their enormous capacity for compassion. Yet that same strength can quietly become their greatest weakness when they forget that compassion should never replace healthy boundaries. Some people spend years trying to earn love by proving how patient, loyal, and understanding they can be, only to discover that love cannot grow through self-sacrifice alone. It also requires mutual effort, emotional availability, and respect from both sides. This becomes especially challenging in relationships involving someone with avoidant attachment patterns. Attachment styles describe common relationship tendencies, not fixed personalities or permanent labels. People with avoidant tendencies often value independence and personal space. Emotional closeness may sometimes feel overwhelming for them, even when they genuinely care about the other person. Their instinct during emotional stress may be to withdraw, create distance, or process feelings privately, rather than openly discussing everything at once. That does not automatically make them uncaring, selfish, or incapable of love. It simply means they may experience emotional closeness differently. When these different ways of connecting meet each other, misunderstandings can quickly develop. One person believes that sharing more feelings will strengthen the relationship. The other may feel pressured by the increasing emotional intensity. Neither person necessarily wants to hurt the other, but both can become trapped in a cycle that leaves them feeling misunderstood. Throughout this video, you are going to discover 5 important things that emotionally generous people often reveal far too early when they are trying to build a connection with someone who tends to pull away from emotional intensity. These are not secret tricks or mind games designed to control another person. They are lessons about protecting your peace, preserving your self-respect, and recognizing that trust should grow step by step instead of being handed over all at once. Some of these points may surprise you because they challenge ideas that many people have believed for years. Others may explain relationship experiences that once seemed impossible to understand. You may even recognize patterns from your own life that never made sense until now. By the end of this video, you will understand why emotional honesty is most powerful when it is balanced with healthy boundaries, why endless giving does not always create deeper love, why protecting your emotional energy is not selfish, and why the strongest relationships are built on trust that develops naturally instead of being rushed. You will also learn how certain habits that appear kind on the surface can quietly create emotional imbalance over time, leaving one person constantly giving while the other slowly becomes more distant. One of the most overlooked truths in relationships is that emotional maturity is not measured by how much of yourself you are willing to sacrifice. It is measured by knowing when your kindness is being appreciated, when your boundaries deserve respect, and when your heart needs the same care that you so freely give to everyone else. That lesson is rarely discussed because many caring people are taught that real love means giving endlessly without expecting anything in return. In reality, healthy love allows both people to feel safe, respected, and valued. It grows through consistency, honesty, patience, and mutual effort rather than emotional exhaustion. As we move through each of these 5 lessons, you may begin to see your past relationships from an entirely different perspective. And you may discover that the strongest version of yourself is not the one who gives away every piece of their heart at once, but the one who knows its value and shares it with wisdom. Stay with us until the very end because the 5th lesson is often the one that changes everything. It is the difference between constantly chasing emotional security and finally finding the confidence to protect your own peace without losing your compassionate nature. If you have ever wondered why some relationships leave you feeling completely drained, while others help you become your best self, the answers may be closer than you think. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy thoughtful discussions about relationships, emotional growth, and understanding human behavior through a balanced and practical perspective, make sure to subscribe and join our growing community because every video is created to help you build stronger connections while never losing yourself in the process. The first mistake often begins so quietly that most emotionally caring people never realize it is happening. It starts with the fear of losing someone. At first, that fear feels like love. It feels like loyalty. It feels like fighting for the relationship. But little by little, fear begins making decisions that love never would. A deeply caring person starts sending one more message after receiving no reply. They explain their feelings again, because they believe they were simply misunderstood the first time. They apologize, even when they have done nothing wrong, because keeping the peace becomes more important than protecting their own dignity. They spend hours replaying conversations in their mind, searching for one sentence that may have caused the distance. Every small change in the other person's behavior feels like a warning sign. A shorter text, a delayed response, or a quiet evening suddenly carries enormous emotional weight. Instead of asking themselves whether their own needs are being met, they become completely focused on making sure the other person never leaves. The relationship slowly stops feeling like 2 people walking together and starts feeling like one person constantly running after someone who keeps stepping farther away. Ironically, this chase rarely creates the closeness they hope for. It often creates more distance because fear has replaced confidence. A person who struggles with emotional closeness may not interpret constant reassurance as love. They may experience it as pressure. The more they feel responsible for calming another person's fears, the more overwhelmed they can become. That does not automatically mean they lack feelings or do not care. It simply means emotional intensity can sometimes make them pull back instead of moving closer. This is one of the hardest truths for an empath to accept because their natural instinct is to give more whenever they sense distance. They think another conversation will fix everything. Another explanation will clear the misunderstanding. Another sacrifice will prove their commitment. Yet relationships are rarely strengthened by one person carrying all the emotional weight. Real emotional safety grows when both people freely choose to stay, not when one person constantly tries to prevent the other from leaving. Confidence has a quiet power. It says, I care about you, but I also value myself. Fear says, please don't leave, because I don't know who I am without you. Those 2 messages create completely different emotional experiences. One invites connection. The other often creates pressure. Protecting your heart does not mean pretending you never feel afraid. It means refusing to let fear control your actions. It means remembering that your worth does not disappear simply because someone else becomes distant. The moment you stop chasing and begin respecting your own emotional needs, the entire relationship dynamic begins to change. Because genuine connection cannot grow where self-respect has disappeared. But fear is not the only thing emotionally generous people reveal before the relationship is ready to carry that weight. Another common pattern appears when a caring person believes that complete vulnerability should happen immediately. They meet someone who makes them feel safe for a short time, and within days or weeks, they begin opening every locked door inside their heart. They share painful childhood memories. They talk about every betrayal they have survived. They reveal their deepest insecurities, their greatest regrets, and the wounds they have spent years trying to heal. Their intention is honest. They believe that complete openness creates complete trust. Yet trust usually works in the opposite direction. Trust is not built because everything is revealed at once. Trust is built because both people consistently prove that they can handle each new layer of vulnerability with care and respect. Emotional closeness grows step by step, not all at once. When someone shares every emotional scar before the foundation of trust has been built, they can leave themselves feeling exposed and emotionally exhausted. The other person may not know how to respond. They may care but still feel overwhelmed by the amount of emotional responsibility arriving so early. This is especially true for people who naturally need more time to process emotions. Gradual vulnerability allows both people to build safety together. It gives each conversation room to breathe. It allows trust to grow naturally instead of being rushed by emotion. Your story deserves to be heard, but it also deserves to be shared with someone who has shown through consistent actions that they will protect it instead of simply receiving it. Wisdom is not hiding your past forever. Wisdom is recognizing that your deepest wounds are valuable, and valuable things are shared with people who have earned that level of trust through patience, respect, and consistency. Many deeply caring people also carry another hidden belief that quietly shapes their relationships. They believe love has the power to rescue someone from their emotional struggles. They tell themselves that if they remain patient enough, understanding enough, forgiving enough, and supportive enough, the other person will eventually become emotionally available. They begin treating the relationship like a mission instead of a partnership. Every withdrawal becomes another problem to solve. Every emotional wall becomes another challenge to overcome. They stop asking whether the other person truly wants to grow because they become completely focused on proving that unconditional love can heal every wound. While love can certainly support healing, it cannot replace personal responsibility. No one changes simply because another person sacrifices more of themselves. Lasting change happens when someone decides for themselves that they are ready to face their fears, examine their habits, and grow through their own choices. Carrying another person's emotional work eventually becomes exhausting because it asks one heart to do the work of two. Healthy relationships are built by two people who are both willing to learn, communicate, and take responsibility for their own healing. The next mistake is even more common. As we reach the end of this journey, one truth stands above everything else. None of these lessons are about manipulating an avoidant person, playing emotional games, or pretending to be someone you are not. Real love has never been about control, and it never will be. The purpose of protecting certain parts of yourself is not to make someone chase you. It is to make sure you never lose yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. There is a huge difference between building emotional walls and building healthy boundaries. Walls keep everyone out, but boundaries simply allow the right people to come closer at the right time. Your kindness should never become an invitation for people to take more than they are willing to give. Your patience should never become permission for someone to ignore your emotional needs. Your compassion should never cost you your peace. One of the greatest misunderstandings about deeply caring people is the belief that endless love can fix every relationship. The truth is much simpler and much more powerful. Love grows where trust, respect, honesty, and mutual effort exist together. No amount of sacrifice can replace those foundations. The healthiest relationships are not built by one person giving everything, while the other gives only what feels comfortable. They are built by two people choosing each other again and again through consistent actions, open communication, and shared responsibility. If someone values your heart, they will treat it with care. If they are not ready for the level of connection you desire, that is not always a sign that you should love harder. Sometimes it is simply a sign that both people are in different places on their emotional journey. Recognizing that difference is not giving up. It is choosing wisdom over exhaustion. Always remember that your emotional energy is one of the most valuable things you possess. Once it is constantly spent chasing reassurance, proving your worth, or trying to earn someone's love, there is very little left for your own happiness, dreams, and personal growth. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is one of the healthiest choices you can make. The people who truly belong in your life will never require you to abandon yourself just to keep them close. They will appreciate your kindness, respect your boundaries, and meet your effort with effort of their own. Those are the relationships that bring peace instead of constant uncertainty. A super empath's greatest strength isn't loving without limits. It's knowing when their heart deserves protection, just as much as it deserves to love. That quiet balance between compassion and self-respect is where real emotional strength begins. When you stop chasing people who cannot meet you halfway, you create space for relationships that are built on trust instead of fear, respect instead of confusion, and peace instead of emotional exhaustion. If these lessons spoke to your experience, perhaps the next step is not trying harder to be understood by someone else. Perhaps it is finally giving yourself the same understanding, patience, and compassion that you have been giving away so freely for so long. Sometimes the relationship that changes your life the most is the one you build with yourself. If you found value in today's video, don't let these lessons end here. Take a moment to like this video, because it helps more people discover content that encourages healthier relationships and emotional growth. Share this video with someone who may need this message today. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos. Every week, we explore the hidden patterns of human behavior, emotional intelligence, and personal growth to help you build stronger relationships without losing yourself in the process. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And until our next video, protect your heart, value your peace, and never forget that the right people will never ask you to become less of yourself just to earn their love.